let me ask you something. Have you ever noticed that your mind can be your best friend one day and your worst enemy the next? The truth is, your mind is like a wild horse. If you don't take the reins, it'll run you straight into the ditch. But if you learn to control it, guide it, and train it, there's no limit to how far you can go, because hear me loud and clear, you don't have to be great to start, but you have to start to be great, and it all starts with controlling your mind. Ladies and gentlemen, your mind is the most powerful vehicle you will ever own. It's faster than any sports car, more advanced than any airplane, and more valuable than all the gold in Fort Knox. But here's the deal. You are the driver of that vehicle. You see, you can't just toss the keys to someone else and expect to end up at your dream destination. If you don't grip the wheel of your thoughts, life will throw you into ditches of doubt, detours of discouragement, and dead ends of despair. But when you decide to take the driver's seat, when you steer with purpose, when you accelerate with faith, when you navigate with discipline, you can go anywhere you want to go in life, because it's not the horsepower under the hood that matters. It's the driver behind the wheel. Remember this, your destiny doesn't change until your direction changes, and your direction doesn't change until you take the wheel of your mind. Friends, your mind is like a bank, and every single thought you deposit is going to draw interest. If you deposit junk, fear, gossip, and negativity, don't be surprised when all you can withdraw is doubt, worry, and failure. That's the law of the mind. Garbage in, garbage out. But here's the exciting part. When you choose to deposit faith, encouragement, gratitude, and knowledge, you'll withdraw confidence, creativity, and success. Your mind is like fertile soil. It doesn't care what you plant. If you plant weeds, you'll get weeds. If you plant seeds of greatness, you'll harvest greatness. So ask yourself, what are you feeding your mind daily? The books you read, the shows you watch, the voices you listen to, they are shaping your future, one thought at a time. Champions don't just train their bodies, they train their minds by guarding what goes in. Because if you want your life to be better on the outside, you've got to put something better on the inside. Remember, the input always determines the output. Now, let me tell you something that could change your whole life. Attitude is a choice, not a condition. Most people live like their attitude is controlled by the weather, the economy, or how somebody treated them last week. But that's not true. Attitude is not what happens to you. It's how you decide to respond to what happens to you. You can't control the rain outside, but you can control whether you dance in it or complain about it. You can't control if the traffic jam is 2 miles long, but you can control if you fume and fuss or turn up the radio and make it a concert on wheels. See, life is 10% what happens to you and 90% how you react to it. The difference between people who rise and people who quit is not always talent, education, or even opportunity. It's attitude. A positive attitude won't solve every problem, but a negative attitude will make every problem worse. Every single morning when your feet hit the floor, you've got a choice. You can say, "Good God, it's morning," or you can say, "Good morning, God." That little shift determines whether your day spirals downward or soars upward. So don't wait for conditions to be perfect. They never will be. Instead, choose your attitude, because your attitude determines your altitude. And the good news is, you hold the pen that writes that choice every day. Now listen carefully. Discipline your thinking. Why? Because your mind is like a garden. If you don't plant flowers on purpose, weeds will grow automatically. Negative thoughts require no invitation. They creep in, multiply, and before long, they choke out your potential. Discipline means you take charge of what stays and what goes. You pull the weeds of fear, doubt, jealousy, and excuses, and you water the seeds of courage, creativity, gratitude, and faith. You can't stop a bird from flying over your head, but you sure can stop it from building a nest in your hair. Same with thoughts. You can't control every idea that flashes in, but you absolutely control which ones you let settle. Great champions, great leaders, great parents, they all share one habit. They guard their minds like a fortress. They use affirmations to feed their confidence. They visualize the future they want. They read what builds them up, and they refuse to entertain thoughts that tear them down. Yeah, because here's the truth. Your life will never rise higher than your dominant thoughts. Discipline your mind, and you discipline your destiny. Leave it undisciplined, and it'll drag you into places you never wanted to go. So every day, ask yourself, am I feeding weeds or am I feeding seeds? The answer will show up in your results. Friends, let me tell you something. Problems are like mosquitoes. You can swat one and two more show up. If you spend all your time swatting, you'll never get where you're going. But here's the secret. Successful people don't give their energy to the mosquito. They give it to finding the screen door. Anybody can point out a problem. That takes zero talent, zero creativity, and zero courage. But winners, winners, don't camp out in the land of problems. They live in the world of solutions. While one person is saying, why me? The other is saying, why not me? How can I fix this? How can I grow through this? See, your mind works like a flashlight. Wherever you shine it, that's what grows bigger. If you shine it on the problem, it looks impossible. If you shine it on the solution, suddenly ideas, opportunities, and strength start showing up. Let me remind you, obstacles are what you see when you take your eyes off the goal. If you stare at the wall long enough, you'll forget there's a door. Shift your focus from what's wrong to what could be right, and you'll move from frustration to innovation. Life's not about avoiding problems, it's about outgrowing them. When you discipline your thinking and focus on solutions, not problems, you turn setbacks into stepping stones and roadblocks into runways. Let me share something with you that can change your whole direction in life. Self-talk shapes your reality. The most important conversation you'll ever have is not with your boss, not with your spouse, not even with your best friend. It's the conversation you have with yourself every single day. If you constantly tell yourself, I can't, I'm not good enough, I'll never make it, then your mind accepts that as truth. Your subconscious is like a loyal servant. It doesn't argue, it just obeys. Feed it poison, and it delivers poison. Feed it possibility, and it delivers power. Here's the key. Every time you say, I'm too tired, your body listens. Every time you say, I can't handle this, your spirit weakens. But when you say, I'm equipped, I'm strong, I'm growing, I'm designed for accomplishment, your whole system goes to work to make that a reality. Think about this. Champions don't talk themselves down. They talk themselves up. A boxer doesn't step into the ring saying, I hope I don't get knocked out. No, he says, I've trained for this moment. I am ready. And guess what? That belief becomes fuel. So here's the takeaway. Guard your mouth like a loaded weapon, because words are seeds. You speak defeat, you'll reap defeat. You speak victory, you'll reap victory. Tell yourself every day, I'm designed for success, engineered for greatness, and I will not quit until I win. Because if you want to change your world, you've got to change the words you tell yourself first. Now, folks, let me tell you, gratitude multiplies joy. You can't be bitter and better at the same time. You can't be grateful and hateful at the same time either. Gratitude is the switch that turns on the light in a dark room. See, most people walk around with a mental list of what's missing, what's wrong, and what they don't have. But winners, champions, carry a list of blessings. And here's the amazing thing. The more you thank God for what you do have, the more you'll see doors open for what you don't have yet. Gratitude shifts your perspective. Instead of complaining about the alarm clock, you thank God you woke up. Instead of griping about traffic, you're grateful you've got a car to sit in. Instead of resenting your job, you thank heaven that somebody's paying you to show up. Now here's the kicker. Gratitude is not just an emotion, it's a discipline. You train your mind to look for blessings the way a miner looks for gold. And once you start looking, you'll find them everywhere. A grateful heart turns problems into lessons, losses into growth, and obstacles into opportunities. So remember this, when you complain, you remain. When you're grateful, you gain. Gratitude doesn't just add joy, it multiplies it, and it turns every single day into a gift worth unwrapping. Now listen closely. Persistence wins over talent. Talent is wonderful, but talent without grit is like a Ferrari without fuel. It looks good in the garage, but it's not going anywhere. You see, the world is full of talented people who never crossed the finish line because they quit when it got hard. But persistence, that steady bulldog determination, beats raw talent talent every single time. Think about water dripping on a rock. One drop doesn't do much, but steady drops over time, they carve out canyons. That's persistence. It doesn't knock the mountain down in one blow. It just keeps showing up until the mountain has no choice but to move. History proves it. Thomas Edison failed over 1,000 times before inventing the light bulb. Somebody asked him, how did it feel to fail 1,000 times? He said, I didn't fail 1,000 times. I discovered 1,000 ways that didn't work. That's persistence. Here's the truth. You don't have to be the smartest, the strongest, or the fastest. You just have to be the one who refuses to quit. Persistence turns average into excellence and dreamers into doers. So when your mind whispers, give up, you shout back, not today. When doors slam, persistence finds a window. When the road gets tough, persistence says, this is just the price of admission for success. Remember this, talent may set the stage, but persistence brings the curtain call. Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you, faith fuels the mind. You can have the best car, the strongest engine, the shiniest paint job, but if there's no fuel in the tank, you're not going anywhere. That's exactly what happens when you try to live without faith. Faith is the gasoline for your thoughts. It's what keeps hope alive when the world says, you're finished. Faith whispers, not yet, you've still got a comeback in you. Without faith, fear takes over. Without faith, every setback looks permanent. Without faith, your mind starts working against you instead of for you. But when you've got faith, faith in God, faith in yourself, faith in the purpose planted inside you, you walk different, you talk different, you think different. Suddenly, the impossible becomes possible because your mind has been fueled with belief, and belief activates action. See, doubt will drain you, but faith will drive you. Doubt sees obstacles, but faith sees the way. Doubt whispers, it's too big, but faith shouts, nothing is impossible. Here's the truth. Storms will come, setbacks will hit, doors will slam, but if your mind is fueled with faith, you'll keep moving forward because you know the one who gave you the dream also gave you the strength to fulfill it. So remember this, fear corrodes the mind, but faith fuels the mind. And when your mind is fueled with faith, there's no mountain too high, no valley too deep, and no dream too far.